to the second video for this week's Dear Piggy HTML CSS course. So in this video, we are going to jump right in and actually start to make some things show up on our web page. So let's take a look at our first slide here. We're going to talk about common HTML elements. So in our previous video, we talked a little bit about what elements actually were, and I kind of gave you a little bit of a preview into the paragraph tag. So let's go to Replit, our in-browser IDE, create a new REPL, choose HTML, CSS, JS, and create the REPL. All right, so as you know from my previous video, all of the HTML code goes in the body tag. Now, since I want to make that clearer for us, I'm going to get rid of this and put it down here. Now, this is totally up to you if you want to do it or not. This is just my own preference. I'm going to come back over here. So let's go over the paragraph tag one more time because I think this one is the one that we are going to be using the most. So the paragraph tag is like its name, something where you can write whatever text that you want in the paragraph tag. So remember from our previous video, we talked about one really important rule. We said that every time you open the tag, you always have to close it. And so we do that by doing the less than, P, greater than, and then closing it by doing the less than, / P, and then the greater than. Now this is how we have one pair of tags. And in this case, P is our tag name, and the element is paragraph because P stands for paragraph. And this is one pair. We've opened it and closed it. So we always have to make sure that we're doing this all 100% correctly. We need to get these good habits, right? So now what's cool about the P tag is that you can type, whoopsies, you can type whatever you want in here and it will show up on the web page. So, and before we get into the details, I'm going to run this code really fast and then we'll see what shows up and then we'll talk about it one more time. So we click the run button using this green button up here and we see on the web page, which guys, if you take a look at Replit, they give you a console at the bottom, but we're not really going to be using it unless we get an error message. This is our web page. This white area is going to be our mock website, right? And so you can see that there's text on it now. You can type whatever you want in here and it will show up on the web page. So most words that you see on whatever website you're on, that's going to come from the paragraph tag, the paragraph element, the P tag, right? Now let's come back in here and review the details one more time. HTML and CSS can do so many things, but one of the most important parts in this language or these two languages is attention to detail. Since there are so many confusing angle brackets and things like that, you need to make sure that you're always 100% correct in where you're putting your letters or your whatever size that you're working with. So we can see here that we've created our P tag like this. Now, whatever we want to show up as our paragraph text will have to go in between the first part and the second part of the pair. So this is not going to go inside. It's not going to go over here. That's incorrect. It's going to go in between. So you'll see where the first tag ends and the second tag starts. That's where you want to put whatever text. And you can type whatever you want. You can type whatever you want in the whole entire world and it'll show up on your web page. So we've successfully created our first, thing that shows up on our web page. Right? So that is our P element. It's our paragraph element and it just simply gives us text on the web page. The next one that I want to work with is our header tags. So in a web page, we usually have some sort of title at the top, right? We want to make sure that you know what your web page is about. So we can do a mini project right now. Say I want to, make a web page about, what should we make it about, guys? Our favorite cartoon TV show. Guys, what's your favorite TV show? Peppa Pig. Okay, we will do it about Peppa Pig. Sounds good. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to create a title. And that title is going to say, welcome to Peppa Pig's website, or something like that, right? So in order to make sure that our title goes on top of this text, we need to make sure that it goes on top of the paragraph element in our code as well. Because this is, the order matters. It's chronological order. So the next element that I'm going to introduce to you guys is the H1 tag. And H1 stands for header 1. All you have to do is do H1, close the first tag, and then close the entire pair by doing this. This is our standard tag form, right? This is standard. We've done this a couple times already, and we should understand what's going on right now. This, in many ways, is similar to our P tag, because whatever we want the header to be, we just type it in between here. So in the space between the header 1 and the ending the header 1, this is where we're gonna type our title. So say I want to say welcome to Peppa's website. I would type that in between the H1 tags, and what's gonna happen when I run my code? I see welcome to Peppa's website, and this isn't some ordinary text on the page, right? This is a header. It's big, it's bolded, it attracts my attention. So this is the header 1 tag. This is the header element. And I'd say that right now our paragraph is already looking a lot better. We can say, welcome to Peppa's website. And then if we wanted to change what's in the paragraph tag, again, we type all the information in between here and we say, this is Peppa's website. Peppa is a young piglet, and she has a little brother George, Daddy Pig, and Mommy Pig. For those of you who've watched Peppa Pig, which unfortunately that was a huge part of my childhood, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so let's run our code again, and we get, welcome to Peppa's website. This is Peppa's website. Peppa is a young piglet, and she has a little brother George, Daddy Pig, and Mommy Pig. Okay, so again, we've introduced two elements that do two different things. The first one is our header 1 tag. It's called H1, and it follows the same format as any other tag. It's an opening pair and a closing pair, and in between these two pair tags, we can write whatever we want the title to be. The second one that we learned about was our paragraph tag. This paragraph tag is, again, like any standard tag. It's going to have the beginning, P, and then whatever content that you want to write, and then you close it using /P. And paragraphs usually are smaller because it's like some small text, and headers are bigger. One thing that I want to point out is header 1. You guys might be saying, why does it have a number 1 following it? Well, that's because there's also H2, H3, H4, H5, and H6. So as your numbers go down, the sizes go down progressively as well. So we say H2, but if you change your first one to H2, you have to change your second one to H2, right? Because this is our tag. If you change it to H2 and we run our program, we see welcome to Peppa's website is slightly smaller now. We change this one to H3, and then we have to change the back to H3 as well. Again, progressively smaller. And then H4, H5 is getting smaller and smaller until we get to H6. H6 is the lowest you can go. You have H1 through H6, and H6 looks like this. Now, this is very tiny, and in my opinion, if you want to make a title for your website, you want it to be big and drawing attention. So I'd say that most people don't use H6, but it's always good to know that there are different types of header tags, header elements. You can go from H1 all the way to H6. So I've changed this back to H1, and we are back to what we did before. Okay, great. So the last element that we're going to learn about is the pre-tag. So I want to point out your attention to something. I have a paragraph tag right here. If I wanted to move on and say, give a couple lines after, or like tab it or something, I can, if I wanted to, write another section. Say, Peppa has many friends. They are rabbits. What are bears? I think it was bear. No, it was Danny Dog. It's a dog. Sorry, guys. Elephants and more. Okay, so in this case, from the point of the writer, we would want sections, right? You don't want everything to be bunched together in one paragraph. You would hope that it looks exactly like what I've written here. So I want it to save all the tabs and spaces that I've written in here in the code and print it out onto the website. But is that necessarily the case? Well, no, right? Take a look at what actually comes out. It doesn't matter for the P tag. It doesn't matter what type of indentation or what type of spacing you do. Everything's going to get shoved into one line. Okay, so this is going to go as much as you let it, then it's going to go to the second line, but it will not care about your tabs or spaces or anything like that. So that's sometimes not that great of a thing. So this is where the pre-tag comes in. The pre-tag is exactly like the paragraph tag, except it preserves the spaces and indentations. So let's come over here. Let's go pre. Again, this is a standard tag. We use the angle brackets, and then we close it using the backslash and then the tag name. So let's say I say Peppa has many friends. We can say she has Danny Dog, she has Rebecca Rabbit, and I can't seem to remember. I think it was Susie Sheep. Maybe it was Susie Sheep, or maybe that's from a different show. But, and then we can say, and many more friends. All right, so what have I done here, guys? Essentially what I've done is I've used my pre-tag, and then in between my pre-tag, I've written multiple lines that have its own indentations, it has its own spacing, and it's formatted very nicely already on this code, right? So when I run my program, let's take a look at what happens now. Aha! Guys, look. Peppa has many friends. Danny Dog, Rebecca Rabbit, Susie Sheep, and many more. Everything, all the spaces, all the indentations, it has all been preserved. Now, the text is in a little bit different font, but that is something that we can learn how to change in CSS later. But my point here, guys, is that the paragraph tag will not care about any sort of spacing or indentation that you do, but the pre-tag will preserve all spacing and indentations. So if I wanted it to be at the very left, I could do it this way, and many more, not friends, just and many more. So then when I run my code, it'll be on the very left now. So as you can see, whatever you put in the pre-tag, it will spit it back out onto the web page exactly how you've written in the code, 100%. So there will be no changes. So that is our pre-tag. So we've gone over 3 HTML elements now. We've gone over the header tag, which is like a title. There are 6 different versions of that. We've gone over the paragraph tag, which is just for some text. And finally, we've gone over the pre-text, the pre-tag, which is essentially the same thing as the paragraph tag, except it preserves any spaces or indentations that you do. So these are the 3 that we've learned in this video. The next thing that I want to go on to is line breaks. So let's come over here. We've seen that only by using the pre-tag can we get different lines, essentially, right? But the pre-tag is not used as often as you think. Professional programmers, professional coders usually stick with the p-tag. Now with the pre-tag, you might be wondering, how are we supposed to go on to the next line? So this is where the line break comes in. However, there is one thing that I really, really want to emphasize for you guys. The break tag does not close. So the break tag is only opened. Remember how I mentioned how all of our HTML tags come in pairs? This one does not come in pairs. There's only one single tag. Let's take a look. I'm going to turn this pre-tag into a p-tag and take a look at what happens. Just for fun, run and everything is stuck onto one line, which unfortunately is not that pretty. So let's take a look. What we want to do after Peppa has many friends, we want to go to the next line, right? How we're going to do that is we can do it this way. Peppa has many friends, and then the line break is BR. This stands for a line break, which essentially means go to the next line. Now, you might think that we should do this, but that is incorrect. Nope. So we are never going to close the line break tag. If you want to do a line break, just do one angle brackets with BR, and that's it, and it will go to the next line. You never have to close your line break tag. That is really, really important to remember, guys. So after Danny Dog, we also need to go to the next line. After Rebecca Rabbit and after Susie Sheep, we all need to go to the next line. So we'll just do BR in the angle brackets, and then BR again. So let's take a look at what happens now. We run our program and we get Peppa has many friends. Danny Dog, Rebecca Rabbit, Susie Sheep, and many more. And these are all on different lines. So that means that our line breaks have worked. Again, line breaks, just to sum this up, they can go inside whichever tag you want. And it's not even a tag, honestly, guys. It's kind of just a little something that's right there that moves the code onto the next line. That's essentially splitting it and making everything go to the next line. You do not close your break tag. Okay. One thing that we use the tags, the line breaks for, it creates separation. You can make spaces and sections this way, and it makes it look more organized and clean, rather than everything getting bunched up onto one line. So that was the concept of line breaks. The last topic that we're going to go over are comments. So comments are going to be one of the easiest things you ever learn in HTML, but they are one of the most widely used things ever in whatever language you're learning. Comments are text ignored by the program. What does that mean? That basically means that when you run your code, if you put something in a comment, your text gets ignored. Your computer overrides it and you don't use it. Now, we can use this for collaboration. We can use it to label our code and things like that. So say I wanted to say that this is our header. Oh wait, guys, first I need to tell you what the comment is. Take a look here. It's going to be the angle, exclamation mark, dash, and then you put your comment, and then you do dash, dash, other angle bracket. So that is a comment. Looks pretty weird, but after a while, you're going to get used to it. So this angle, exclamation mark, dash, dash. Then we say, you can put any comment here. Then you do dash, dash, angle bracket. So this is a comment. And you'll see that it's kind of turned gray, which means that your code is going to ignore it. Now, these comments can be single line or they can be multi-line. Either way, they're going to work. If you run your code, you'll see that nothing has changed and the code has been ignored. We can say, welcome to Peppa's website. So for collaboration, to let other people know what you're doing, this is my header. Because right now it's just you working on your program. But when you get really advanced and there's like a bunch of people working on it, you need to let them know what you're doing. This is the intro, and I've commented that as well. And finally, down here, we see this is a list of Peppa's friends. So now when the coder goes back or your friend comes back and looks at your code, they know what everything is doing. All right, so we run our code and we see everything's the exact same, nothing has changed, which means that our comments, they're just completely ignored by the program, but really helpful for us as coders. So guys, those were the 3 topics that we learned about today. We learned about 3 common elements, the P tag, the pre tag, and the H1 tag. We learned about line breaks, which is BR, and these do not get closed ever. And finally, we learned about comments, which are angle, exclamation mark, dash, dash, and then dash, dash, angle. Okay, so that's it for this video. We'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.